Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're stretching back to 2005 to revisit the superhero movie that brought Marvel's first family to the big screen, Fantastic Four. Long before the MCU took over the world, this film gave us a flaming hot Johnny Storm, a rock-solid Ben Grimm, and some serious superhero cheese. From studio struggles to on-set secrets, we've got all the fantastic facts you never knew. So fire up those cosmic rays and let's flame on through 20 things you never knew about Fantastic Four. Long before the 2005 movie hit cinemas, an earlier adaptation was quietly produced in 1994 under the direction of Roger Corman, intended primarily as a contractual placeholder to secure the film rights rather than to launch a major motion picture, otherwise known as an ashcan copy. Interestingly, the cast and crew involved in this low-budget production were reportedly unaware of its true purpose, believing they were part of a genuine filmmaking effort. Despite never receiving an official release, this obscure version gained a bit of a cult following over time. Following the B-movie monstrosity, Fantastic Four took nearly a decade to make. In 1995, Chris Columbus was hired to write, direct and produce a proper adaptation, with Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan set to star as Reed and Sue. Columbus co-wrote a script with Michael France, but stepped down as director. Peter Segal briefly replaced him in 1997, followed by Sam Wiseman. To cut the potential $165 million price tag, Fox hired Sam Hamm for a rewrite in 1998. Raja Gosnell then joined as director, but left in 2000 to make Scooby-Doo, and Peyton Reed took over in 2001, bringing in Mark Frost for a new draft inspired by A Hard Day's Night, with a cast that would have included Alexis Denisoff, Charlize Theron, Paul Walker, John C. Reilly and Jude Law. But Reed left in 2003 over creative differences. Finally, Tim Story was hired in 2004, after impressing Fox with Barbershop and an early cut of Taxi. During the film's development, producer Chris Columbus initially envisioned Fantastic Four with a strongly comedic tone, reminiscent of the campy 1960s Batman TV series. However, director Tim Story, who had been hired partly for his comedic sensibilities, strongly disagreed. He was able to persuade Columbus that going for an outright comedic tone would end in disaster, and pointed to the success of Spider-Man as proof that the film could still contain plenty of humour while having a general serious overall storyline. Michael Chiklis was the only team member who had read Fantastic Four comics as a child. The Thing was his favourite character, and he lobbied strongly for a practical suit rather than a CGI version. In an effort to develop the Thing's voice without digital effects, apart from a single roar, Chiklis would read to his children for hours while wearing the character's teeth. This allowed his lines to be recorded live on set, avoiding the need for dubbing and enabling him to convey Grimm's emotions in the moment. Chiklis endured a daily prosthetics routine to wear the £60 latex suit required to play the Thing, with the application alone taking 3 hours each day. To keep him cool, a rock was removed, allowing cold air to be pumped into the suit. Despite often feeling miserable during filming, he was ironically the warmest actor on set during the final battle, which was shot in freezing December in Vancouver. Stan Lee has stated that Michael Chiklis' portrayal of the Thing was his favourite performance in any Marvel movie. With nearly 900 visual effects shots, the film proved to be a major undertaking for the post-production team. One sequence featuring Johnny Storm flying across New York reportedly took 4 months to complete, as it required a fully CGI recreation of Manhattan. As it would have been impossible to shut down and shoot on the actual Brooklyn Bridge, a 200-foot replica of a section was constructed in a Vancouver car park for the film's epic crash sequence. They matched the construction of the real bridge exactly, right down to the correct nuts and bolts. To create the shot of the truck hitting the Thing, a concrete-filled steel post was drilled into the bridge for it to hit, then removed in post-production. And the fire truck is a real truck up to the point where it leaves the bridge. From then on, it's replaced with a CGI version. This elaborate set piece took over 5 weeks to shoot and involved hundreds of extras, stunt performers, and composite shots. Fantastic Four was released on VHS and DVD in December 2005, featuring several changes from the theatrical cut. Among these was a scene set in a storage room at the Baxter Building, where the robot Herbie can be seen on a shelf. This character joined the team for the 1978 animated series in place of the Human Torch. But the most notable alteration occurs in the scene with Jessica Alba and Johan Griffith gazing towards the Statue of Liberty. While similar lines are kept, the DVD replaces this with a moment in a planetarium where they openly discuss their feelings for each other. In 2007, an extended cut DVD was released, featuring approximately 20 minutes of deleted scenes. This edition delves deeper into the Thing's relationship with Alicia Masters, Doom's schemes to divide the team, and the Human Torch's womanizing backfiring on him. It also has a scene of Reed transforming his face to resemble Wolverine's from the X-Men. Reed even breaks the fourth wall, looking directly at the camera during his transformation. While being examined by Reed, Ben mentions that he used to smoke, a subtle nod to the character's comic book roots. In the original Marvel comics, the Thing was frequently seen puffing on cigars. However, this habit vanished in the early 1990s, when Marvel's then editor-in-chief, Joe Quesada, introduced a strict anti-smoking policy that prohibited all characters from being depicted with tobacco products. As well as those mentioned earlier, many actors were considered for parts of the main characters. Before Johan Griffith was cast, George Clooney, Brendan Fraser, and even Hugh Jackman were all considered for the role of Reed Richards. And dozens of actresses were in the running to play Sue Storm, including Scarlett Johansson, Rachel McAdams, Julia Stiles, Elizabeth Banks, and Kate Bosworth. When Peyton Reed was attached to the project, Renee Zellweger was his top choice. Dr. Doom went through multiple iterations as well. Tim Robbins and Mel Gibson were among the early favourites, and Robert Downey Jr. was even considered. He is of course now playing the role in the new 2025 adaptation. Before Chris Evans became the Human Torch, Andrew Walker auditioned for the role, and James Gandolfini was considered for Ben Grimm, while David Boreanaz apparently turned the part down. The script originally called for Ben to pick up the ring and watch as Debbie walks out of his life. However, due to the costume making it difficult to pick it up, they chose to make a change. This made the moment even more heartbreaking, emphasizing that Ben can no longer perform something as simple as picking up a ring in his new form. Jessica Alba chose to dye her hair blonde, specifically for the film to better capture the essence of her character, Sue Storm. However, for the sequel, she decided to forego the potentially damaging bleaching process and instead wore a blonde wig. One of the film's most talked about moments, the infamous underwear scene featuring Alba, wasn't originally planned in the script at all. This memorable scene was actually added only after she had committed to the role. I wonder why. Chris Evans brought a vibrant energy to the role of Johnny Storm, injecting much of the character's dialogue with his own spontaneous flair. Rather than strictly sticking to the script, with Tim Story's permission, Evans frequently improvised, using his natural charisma and quick wit to shape the Human Torch's sharp one-liners and playful banter. His effortless humour and confident delivery became a defining feature of the role. Welsh actor Johan Griffith, who played Reed Richards, struggled with maintaining the American accent throughout production, largely because he was constantly receiving updated script pages. It was Johan Griffith's idea that Reed should continually be taking notes, saying, "On a good day, I'd be writing formulas that I remembered from my algebra class in school, and on a day when I was really concentrating on the other actor, it would just be gibberish. Also inspired by his role on Nip Tuck, it was Julian McMahon's idea to have Victor's scars sealed by surgical staples. Stan Lee made his customary cameo, but this marked the first time he portrayed a named Marvel Comics character, Willie Lumpkin, the team's mailman. Lee even asked Johan to do some improv with him so he could get as much screen time as possible. He ended up changing his scripted line of "Welcome home, Dr. Richards" to "Welcome back to the Baxter Building, Dr. Richards." In a bit of meta-humour, one scene shows Susan Storm glancing at a People magazine with her own face on the cover. Sharing the spotlight are James Marsden and Rebecca Romijn, featured with headlines teasing their real-life connections to other Marvel characters. Marsden with James Marsden eyes next superhero role, and Romijn with the mystique of Rebecca Romijn. This playful Easter egg subtly acknowledges the actors' roles in the X-Men film series, where Marsden portrayed Cyclops and Romijn portrayed Mystique. Jessica Alba got a kidney infection while filming. She nearly fainted while shooting a scene in the space station alongside Julian McMahon. Despite her illness, Alba persevered and managed to complete the scene though. Fantastic Four was originally scheduled for release on the 4th of July 2005, a date highlighted in early trailers. However, the release was pushed back to avoid clashing with Tom Cruise fighting aliens in War of the Worlds. And although the film received largely negative reviews, it was a big box office success. The film debuted at number 1, earning over $56 million during its opening weekend. By the end of 2005, it had grossed over $330 million worldwide, and that's against a budget of under $100 million. It held the record as the highest-grossing superhero film directed by an African-American director until Ryan Coogler's Black Panther surpassed it in 2018. Unfortunately, Australian actor Julian McMahon, who played Dr. Victor Von Doom in this film, and Christian Troy in Nip Tuck, passed away at just 56 years old on July 2, 2025 in Florida. He had been having a private battle with head and neck cancer that metastasized into his lungs. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about Fantastic Four. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.